My aunt used to say, it's from the womb to the tomb with us. This blood can't be washed away. Not even with time.
Our great-grandfather bought property where nobody else wanted. It was swampland. But soon as they found out that there was oil on it, then they started taking interest in that property. And they got the property by any means necessary. When he questioned them about that property, in that same year he died, somebody said that he was killed. These people, they really took a lot from us. They didn't take just the land and the royalties, but they took a lot of your humanity.
All right. Allah.
Coming out. My name's Adrian Burrell. I'm from Oakland, California. The short clip you just saw was from a body of work called Sugarcane and Lightning, which is a mixtape of Black life and American history from my familial perspective. And it all starts with this woman that you see here in the photo, which is my grandmother, Taretha Lewis. She gave birth to 16 kids. 12 of those kids had 58 kids. 58 had 112, and 112 had 158. And she lived to see all those people be born. And we all pretty much stayed in Oakland, California since 1927. In this body of work, I'm really curious about, and I've been exploring the ways in which my family has dealt historically with the repetitions of catastrophe. You know, with after slavery, you get Reconstruction, And with Reconstruction, you get the Ku Klux Klan. And with the Ku Klux Klan, you get the Blues. And I'm interested in these repetitions of catastrophe and the ways in which we sidestep power in moments to create joy, refusal, rebellion, revenge, moments when we take ownership. And through mining archives and creating archives of my own, I've stumbled across a lot of different artifacts, some of them being these letters that I found written on behalf of my ancestors to the government after they were enslaved by the Confederate Army during the Civil War. And in these letters, over 35 or so different letters, they're basically demanding reparations. And the government writes back to say that we don't pay reparations to slaves, their descendants, their widows. Stop writing us. This is useless. And so with my work, I'm really, like I said, exploring archives while creating some of my own. Through this exploration, I work a lot with family. I say I got a lot of cousins, aunts, uncles, aunties. And this is an image of my mother and my sister. And what I really like about this collaboration is that we create spaces for ritual. And within these rituals, we have an opportunity to either deepen a connection or to release an energy. And I think this collective grieving and this collective release is a way to maintain the health of a community, to maintain the health of a family. The work has taken me from Oakland. I interview my grandmother a lot. I went from Oakland back to Louisiana and originally also back to Senegal, where through my research, I also found a bill of sale from one of my ancestors who was kidnapped from Senegal around 1775 and sold to French enslavers in southwestern Louisiana. And in this bill of sale, they talk about these tribal markings that she has on her stomach. And so when I went back to Senegal for the Black Rock residency, I went to the area they said she was from, and I talked to culture makers, historians, diviners, anybody I could to try to piece together the different aspects of her narrative. Oral history is important, and I've traveled across the United States to find the oldest people alive in my family and document any aspects of their stories that they're willing to share with me. These are my grandmother's grandparents she was an orphan, she was raised by her grandparents. And this is George Washington Seamster and Alice Mae Smith Seamster. They were both also born into slavery. This is my grandmother's chair. She passed in 2020, and I took this photo when she was still alive, and it was something about it. When I took it, it just felt eerie. I just knew, one day everything comes to an end. This is a mill house in northern Louisiana on some land where some of my family were sharecropping in the 1930s. My uncle Sugar, in this image here, I went back to Louisiana and he went and took me around to all the places in the family, all the locations that were related to our family history. This image was taken in Laurierville, and it's actually where I got the idea for the title of my book, Sugarcane and Lightning. I went back, after I found these letters, I found these places. There's these places and dates, and one of them was Laurierville, Louisiana, which is a place I never heard of before. And so when I went back there, I found this church in the middle of this sugarcane field that my family helped build in 1868, and it was still standing, and it's surrounded by this sugarcane field. And I looked down at the dirt and I reached my hand in the soil, and Louisiana is humid out there, so the soil was moist and hot. And I looked up in the sky and I saw a lightning bolt, and I said Sugarcane and Lightning, and then that became the name of the project. This is a controlled burn of a sugarcane field. I said before, I'm also interested in these repetitions of catastrophe, whether that be the prison industrial complex or the military industrial complex, and how my family has played a role in these catastrophes throughout American history. In the bottom left and bottom right of each images are my uncles. who were in prison together in the 1980s. In the bottom left image that says Deborah, that's my family doing a visit in prison during that time. I like to think of this work as a continuum. You know, they say like, oh, you make a body of work and it's like, okay, this is finished or that's finished. But at the end of the day, it's never finished. It's this cyclical thing that keeps repeating itself. And as an artist, I find myself asking the kind of the same question, but in a different context, exploring it through different mediums. This is the second line for one of my cousins that we had in West Oakland who was murdered in 2014. This is one of my favorite images. Me and my sister collaborated to make these steel wool wigs. And my mom, my sister, and my grandmother wore those wigs. And we took portraits in front of boarded up storefronts in Oakland in 2020. And Mexicali Rose was one of those restaurants that we always went to before we had to go deal with the system. You know, the police station was right across the street. So whenever somebody went to jail or we went to visit them, or whenever we had to go to court for whatever reason, we would always go to Mexicali Rose. And the name of this image is called God Don't Like Ugly. I'm really interested in collaging memory as well. In the video, in the beginning of it, you see my grandmother's house, and I'm projecting images of these block parties that my grandmother used to throw in the 80s on the home. And that's the home that you see in the background of this image of my cousin's. It's the day of my cousin's wedding. Another aspect of my work that I'm interested in is thinking about the unseen labor and thinking about the Venuses of my family archive. So I talked about my great-great-great-great-grandmother from Senegal. Her name was Venus, or at least that's what they called her in the archive. And the interesting thing is that when she got to Louisiana, she told her kids that were born into slavery, wherever they went, that when they got free to rename themselves Senegal so that they would always know where and how to find each other. This was taken in a sugarcane plantation in modern day Senegal, which I was very shocked to find. I was shocked to find that plantation and to find out that they're one of the biggest exporters of sugar today on the continent. So I did this letter writing project with my family where I asked them to respond to a prompt that is Dear Future. And my grandmother, I got her to write one before she passed away, and this is her letter. Dear Future, my name is Taretha Lewis. I was born in Minden, Louisiana on August 16th, 1927. I gave birth to 16 children. I raised 12. I have hundreds of descendants and I enjoyed them. I've had some good and bad days, but I love them all. I had some bad times. I lost my husband and their father who left me widowed with 12 children. I met my new husband who helped me to raise them. He was good to me and the love was just like their real father. Everything's all right. By the good of the Lord, I trust in God. I wonder when the future comes, what it's gonna be like. Thank you.